Hey guys, welcome back to another T.Q.K.O video, and today we are going to be talking about what phone gimbal you should get. So there's a few phone gimbals on the market right now. The two I'm going to talk about are the DJI Osmo 2, which is this one right there, and the Smooth Q by Zhiyun. So the reason why I'm talking about these two gimbals and not any other ones is because the Zhiyun Smooth 4 is great. However, there is no joystick, and I find that very essential. So I will cross that off my list. The other option is the Movi FreeFly, which is $300, and that's ridiculous. Hohem, which has a really bad gimbal system, and that's about it. So these two, I think, will be what you should decide. Don't bother buying any of the other gimbals. I've looked through all of them. I don't think they're worth it. So these two. So let's talk about some specs about this. This one has a 15-hour battery life, which is way over enough for whatever you're filming, and it can even charge your phone a couple of times. This one's still pretty good, 12 hours, and it's a little bit thinner. As you can see, this one's more of a chunky grip. So if you have big hands, you may want to lean more towards the Osmo, but if you have small hands, maybe go with the Smooth Q. So battery life, 1 point to DJI. Okay, the next one is rotation axis. Rotational axes, this basically shows how much the gimbal can spin before it blocks itself. On this gimbal, the Osmo 2, you can see it only goes up this much, and it can only swing that much, about 90 degrees on that end. And then on this end, it cannot spin 360, it can only spin about 180 degrees. However, on the Smooth Q does a lot better. The Smooth Q, on this case, as you can see, it can spin all the way around, almost, both ways for this one. For the pan axis, it's about the same, but it's a little bit more. And the main thing is, the main gimbal, you can see, spins 360 degrees. So this is a major advantage, especially if you want to do very like matrix revolver type of shots. That would be extremely useful on the Smooth Q. So point 1 to the Smooth Q. Next one is software. Software on these two gimbals is very different. So in brief overview, if you want a software that works right out of the box, you want a gimbal that you don't have to mess with, you just turn on and it works perfectly, that would be the DJI Osmo. However, if you're that type of guy who likes changing everything, the pan speed, the tilt speed, the roll axis speed, every single number has to be perfect, you should go with the Smooth Q. The issue I found with the DJI is I did not get enough customization. I could only change the speed from slow, medium, and fast. However, on the Smooth Q, I could change the speed of anything. I can make any number 0 to 200. I can make the degrees precise measurements. So software-wise, the Smooth Q wins on customizability, but the Osmo wins on practicality for camera. If you're not that good with camera equipment and you don't want it getting in the way, get the Osmo. Now another quick thing I want to address is about the roll axis when you're not connected to a phone. When you're connected to a phone, you can change the roll axis of anything. However, if you're not connected via the app, it only works. You can only change the roll axis with the Smooth Q. How you do this is that you turn it on, and then you go into follow mode. When you go into follow mode, as you can see, the joystick does not work. The joystick does not do anything, which some people may find as a bad thing, some people may find as a good thing. The only thing the joystick does is change the roll axis, as you can see like that. I find this really useful, especially because I live in a house and the house is not level. So even if the gimbal thinks it's level, everything else looks off level because it's just my house is not level. So changing the roll axis on the fly is very useful because I really don't like connecting to the app. I normally use Filmic Pro, and that does not obviously work with the Zhiyun Crane app. However, this also gives an advantage to the DJI because in the DJI, if you want to use the joystick while you're in follow mode, you can't do that with the Smooth Q, and a lot of people hate that. I personally got used to it because I own a Weeble Lab for my Alpha, which is what I always use. But for many people, they just can't live without that feature. So anyways, a quick rundown about the follow modes. We're gonna go through all three of them real quick. They're both the same on both gimbals. They just work a little bit differently. When you turn on this gimbal follow mode, it follows every axis. It follows up, down, left, and right. If you're in only pan mode, it will tilt left and right like this, but it will not tilt up and down. And for the last mode is all locked. For the locked mode, it will try not moving at all. Of course, it's gonna move a little bit, but it's gonna try to counteract that. Same thing with the Smooth Q. And as we already talked about previously, real quickly. Okay. Oh, first of all, I'm gonna have to explain the basics of the different modes of shooting for both of these gimbals to explain my next issue, which is how the software interacts with the different modes on the camera. So basically, how the modes work is that this mode, as you can see, is the pan tilt mode. The gimbal only tilts left and right, and it does not tilt up and down, as you can see. Then when you go into follow mode, it tilts up and down, up, down, up, down, and left and right, as you can see. So that's pretty cool. Then if you go in lock mode, nothing will move at all. You can see it tries to not move no matter how much you turn it. But of course, if you go past the limit, it will turn it. So both of these gimbals have the same features, but the main difference is how they implement them. In Zhiyun's follow mode, which I can activate right now, like that. In Zhiyun's follow mode, you can see it follows pretty well, but the main issue a lot of people face is that if you move the joystick, it does not move at all. It's locked. The only thing the joystick moves is the roll axis, you can see, and that's kind of a weird axis to play around. It's more just to calibrate it. It's not more of a, you're not going to use that a lot in filming unless you're filming The Matrix or Inception or something like that. So a lot of people hate this because sometimes the way they hold it's kind of weird for the frame they're getting and they can't get in the right space. However, I personally love it because one thing is that my house is not level. This may not be specific to anyone, but if you're not shooting on level ground, having the ability to change the roll axis on the fly is amazing, because every time I film, the gimbal thinks it's flat, but because of the gyroscope, but my house is not flat, so everything looks off kilter with like a really bad Dutch angle, so that just looks unprofessional. So that's one reason why I would go with the Smooth Q if you like changing the roll axis. Mind you, you can change the roll axis on both gimbals, but for the DJI you have to connect it through the app to change the roll axis, which is inconvenient if you're shooting on the fly. And as we have talked about the UI system for the DJI Osmo, the DJI Osmo does work quite a bit better with app integration. The Zhiyun app, all it does, it changes the very specific numbers about the speed and everything. But the tracking, face tracking, object tracking is a lot worse on the Zhiyun. DJI has really mastered that, probably because of their drone line. They're really good at these tracking things, and you can see there's a zoom button. I don't really use the zoom that much because you're losing pixels with the iPhone if you're filming iPhone, but all these buttons work. On the Zhiyun Smooth Q, if you're connected to the app, I couldn't get the zoom button to work for some reason, and yeah, all these buttons just don't work that well with the app. But however, for me, it does not affect me because I use Filmic Pro, so it doesn't really affect me in that case. Also, one thing I wanted to address, I understand where DJI is coming from. All of the drones, you have to connect through the internet before you use them, so that's why they did it with the gimbal too, for like safety updates and stuff. But I honestly hate companies that force you to make an account to use your product. Like, it's kind of annoying, you have to do it once, but I just don't really like getting the private things. I did do it for Zhiyun, obviously, because you need to do that to change the numbers, but Zhiyun does not require it, while DJI does. I just want to throw that in there if you hate giving your email out to people. So if you really hate giving your email out to companies, you're gonna have to stick with the Smooth Q, because you're not gonna be able to turn on the DJI. However, the DJI, because you connect it to your account, it makes it a lot easier with warranty. Okay, next topic. This may be only specific to people like me, but I really wanted a GoPro gimbal, which is why I wanted to see which of these gimbals work better. For iPhone photography and film only, I would probably go with the Smooth Q, because I'm just more accustomed to it. I have a Weeble Lab myself. I don't have a DJI Ronin, so it's just easier for me. However, the DJI Osmo, the motors are a little bit stronger. They can't move as much. For example, this can move 360, this can only move 180 degrees. But the thing is that the DJI Osmo motor is stronger. But however, it can only spin 180 degrees. This one can spin 360, which is quite better. But if you want more stable video, I believe you will get more stable video with the DJI Osmo if you're only filming with your iPhone. Now, to me, it doesn't matter because I use Filmic Pro and I always turn on stabilization, because these iPhone gimbals, both of them are pretty weak compared to other gimbals. So you're going to want to turn on stabilization. If you use the video app that comes with your phone, I believe it already stabilizes for you. It may have issues when it's turning left and right, but you can fix that in Filmic Pro, or you can download a free video app. Anything should work. But the main thing I want to talk about today is the GoPro. So this probably won't apply to anyone, but this applies to me. You can see I custom 3D printed, let's get that in focus. I custom 3D printed a phone mount for my DJI. Because the reason why is that they do sell this mount, but the issue is it's made completely out of metal, which means when you put a counterweight on it, it's too heavy and the gimbal can't handle it. So I had a custom 3D model and print a GoPro mount. So because I didn't want to have two gimbals that are almost the same, one has a GoPro, one has a phone. So this is an issue I wanted to address in this video. By the way, if you guys are interested in getting a CAD model or something, just leave a comment or something. I can just put it up as a link or something. But you can see this is what the GoPro setup looks like approximately. It kind of looks ridiculous, but honestly, it works for me. Especially when I get time lapses of GoPro, this is what I want to do. See, it looks pretty cool. I know the GoPro already has hyper smooth, but the GoPro hyper smooth does not count at this axis. You can see the roll axis. However, the gimbal does. So I just want to point that out. If you're doing gimbal stuff like that, if you're trying to use your gimbal for non-traditional stuff like GoPros and not iPhones, you're gonna go with the smooth Q because you need to customize those pan tilt numbers or else it just won't work come out of stock. On a DJI gimbal, I couldn't get the GoPro working because you could only set the speed to slow, medium, and fast. Now, here's another life hack. If you don't have this 3D model and you don't want to custom make one, Tony Quill, if you don't want to custom make one, here's a quick life hack I can show you if you want to use a GoPro gimbal. Here. So I do have to admit this life hack is kind of weird. So what you do is that, I may have not mentioned this in the video, but both of these cameras you can see the gimbal is automatically landscape. However, you can turn it portrait mode by unscrewing the screw. You can see, I don't want to get my face in a shot because my Alpha has face tracking, which is nice, but keeps tracking on my face instead of the gimbal. But you can unscrew the screw and then you can make it portrait mode, which is what I want to do. If you turn it portrait mode, you can actually put your GoPro in it like this. Just like that. You have to rebalance it, obviously. Just about like that. And you can see, now we have a GoPro and a gimbal. The issue with this way, without this adapter and counterweight system, is that you will not be able to see the screen of the GoPro. However, you can see I can turn on the gimbal. It perfectly works. So if you're really dying to have a gimbal for some reason, 1, 2, 3. If you're really dying to have a gimbal on a GoPro like this, some reasons you may want this is because of time lapse. If you like time-lapse photography, you just want to put this on a tripod and have this just spinning around as it takes the time-lapse. I can see why you need that. So this is a quick life hack I wanted to point out for you. And it's also cool in vlogging, you know. Talking about vlogging, both of these gimbals are great with vlogging, but if you're only going to be shooting vlogging videos, I would probably go with the DJI. The reason why you want to go with the DJI is because there's a face tracking system, which is really nice. I put a cut right here. You can see I'm just walking around the room and you can see it tracks me perfectly. The issue with the Smooth Q is that it has face track as well, but it often loses me and it's really hard to deal with. So if you're only doing vlogs, I would consider buying the DJI because that gives you a lot of advantages, honestly. So yeah. Now, which gimbal would I personally keep? May sound obvious here, but I'm going to go with the Smooth Q for multiple reasons. One of them, I own a Weibo lab. So working with the same app and the same manufacturer, working with the same software system is much better. And also the thing is you can change every single number on here. You can make custom presets for anything you want. You can't really do that on the DJI. You can only change the speed between slow, medium, and fast, which I have sometimes, I really hated it. I wanted to be between slow and medium, but I couldn't do that. But with the Smooth Q, I could change the number individually. The second thing I wanted to address is if you guys are really interested in iPhone videography, whether you can't afford a camera or you just like the portability, these adapters are hot shoe adapters, and these hot shoe adapters allow you to put a microphone on the gimbal. And if you're planning on doing like professional grade, you're gonna need good audio because good audio is really what makes and breaks a video. The advantage of the Zhiyun Smooth Q in this case is that you can see here the bracket attaches above. Okay, let me get this on real quick. The bracket attaches above the joystick and everything, so you have a lot of handle grip. However, the DJI Osmo one, which I don't have on here right now, but my friend has one, the DJI Osmo one puts their hot shoe adapter down here, because up here you cannot put, due to the place of the USB slot, you can't put anything that will block that. So the issue with that is then you're gonna run out of handle space, and it's just really inconvenient when shooting one-handed. So if you really want to connect the microphone to your gimbal, get this. You will definitely not regret it. Okay, my camera is bad at focusing. There it is. Get this thing and get the smooth Q. See, we're gonna go down a brief rundown about the advantages and disadvantages. 1 point to Zhiyun for having a better rotational axis. 1 point to DJI for having a longer battery life. 1 point to Zhiyun for having a better UI. And 1 point to DJI for being it's easier to use. I know it's kind of contradictory. I said Zhiyun has a better UI, but think about it. Zhiyun is more like okay, I'm not gonna say that. It's gonna be really controversial, but Zhiyun is more like Android. You can customize everything you want. While Zhiyun, it's a bit more expensive actually. It's $120 compared to $60, but it's made very well. I could just use it out of the box once I connected it to my app. It worked flawlessly. When I got the smooth Q out of the box, it was really wonky. I didn't like any of the settings, but after some tweaking, I could get the settings right. DJI, they don't let you tweak with those settings. So yeah, the prices of these gimbals vary quite a bit. This gimbal is DJI's newest gimbal, so it's gonna cost you about $120. This one is Zhiyun's older model, which I actually think is better because this one has a joystick, and it's only $80. And even on Black Friday, you can probably get this for $50, which I did. So price-wise, the Zhiyun wins. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my video. It was really fun playing with these gimbals, and honestly, no matter where you come from, if you want to start taking video, want to start photography, just start with the camera you have. It's not worth your time to complain about, I can't film because this iPhone sucks. You just gotta learn good lighting. Lighting makes a big difference, and trust me, if you get good lighting on an iPhone, you can make it just as good as movie quality, because even some big wigs at the movie studios, they sneak some iPhone footage into there. You just need to work on your lighting, and obviously you need smooth video, good audio. Get a Rode video mic and get, in my opinion, not this one, the smooth Q, but if you want a DJI, if you want something that works out of the package, get the DJI. If you want to get something that's doesn't work well out of the package, but if you customize it a bit, you'll love it to death, you'd get the smooth Q. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. These videos are really fun for me to make, and hopefully they're fun for you to watch. Like if you like it, dislike, there's no dislike button, but you can comment dislike for some reason, and you can subscribe, do whatever you want. Outro time. Whoosh.